Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Critical Role Campaign 2, Episode 94, With Great Power.
Yes. ... If they're talking about the end scene, I'm going to say comes no responsibility.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by the choice of the title on this one. But yeah.
Yeah.
First, right off the bat, Matt performs his own trick. In the recap, he talks about how Jester tricked him and the hag.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of pulls one over on his players at the beginning of this one. And so Matt knows his players want to fight, one.
Mm-hmm.
And two, also they want to rest.
Mm-hmm.
So he...
Which are mutually exclusive things.
Yes and no. So he provides for them a location which he has already built the map for.
Right.
Because he knows they're going to be looking for a spot to rest. So he has built his map to reflect that potential site of rest. And he knows that the dome, once up, will negate the chance for an encounter. And this is a great example of a good DM knowing what his players are going to do, knowing the powers that they have, and not being mad about it.
Yeah.
Because too many times I've seen too many DMs in threads complaining about Liam's tiny hut or Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion.
Yeah.
That once they have them, there's no challenge anymore. And I don't believe that at all. And obviously Matt does not. And the way he set it up was so perfect. Because he says, you have found what you want. The space is big enough. But there's a problem. There's a huge trunk. And they could have surprised him and said, oh, that's fine. We'll just sleep around it and sleep close.
Yeah.
Because that was possible. But he also knows that he has adventurers who all want their own space. And as much as they love each other and get along, they don't want to have to be pressed together. Especially with all the latent sexual tension running in the group right now.
Right. Well, and you've also got the two strong people being two people who like to show that off.
Yeah. So that's the trap. They set it off, tear it up. That begins the encounter.
Yes, it was indeed a trap.
So good.
They did not check and they did not attempt to disarm it stealthily.
I loved it. So good.
You know, and I don't know what all they had prepared, but there are spells that could have done it without making the noise.
Yeah.
Simple move earth, you know.
Yeah. Move earth would have dislodged the roots. They still would have had to move it.
Yeah, but they could have just set it off to the side rather than hurling it.
It's true. Or tearing it and making all the racket, yeah.
So, I mean, there were ways around it.
Yeah.
Plenty of ways around it.
Yeah. But
they chose the direct path.
Yeah. And Matt says roll initiative, and Travis is super excited. He's like, he wouldn't leave us high and dry?
Yep. His body is happy about this. Does that mean he got an erection under the table? I mean,
I don't know if I'd go that far. Probably just the excitement, the endorphins going. But one of the things that Matt said Thursday night, and on my rewatch, the urge was irresistible. But he said, like the zombies at the carnival.
Yep.
And
the circus zombies return.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't remember them exploding. But something in the way he said it, and especially what happened after the fight, made me want to go back and watch the first episode.
Okay.
And I don't know if we want to get off into the weeds into that right now. I'd almost prefer to save that for later.
Okay.
We'll put a pin in that. Because it's going to be a lot of praise for Matt. And maybe some of it is relevant and maybe some of it's not. But one of the great things in the combat was Liam getting to say, no, that doesn't hit.
Yeah.
It's so good. Also telling, and it's a common mistake of many players everywhere, including me sometimes, Taliesin blah blahs some text in his items activation language, which becomes relevant a few actions later in the turn, which is that used his reaction, so he was not able to cancel
the crit.
Yeah. And the other big thing of note that happened in the fight was, and I wanted to ask you why you think this happened. Ford charges in to a zombie instead of plinking it with Eldritch Blast.
You know, he hasn't used Eldritch Blast in a while. In fact, other than testing out to see if he got his powers back, I don't think he's used it since he lost them.
No.
And I don't know if that's a character choice, or if he's just leaning into that paladin and that sword swinger and what he's used to.
Okay. That was my second choice.
Okay. Your first choice being?
That Travis wants to fight. Ford now has over 100 hit points. So Travis feels a little confident.
Yeah, but tactically...
Tactically, it was the wrong choice.
If you've got exploding zombies, you don't want to be near them when you kill them.
Exactly.
He should have gone
Eldritch Blast, which is why I say that, and it's that reason why I pose the question: why did Ford do that?
Yeah. And I don't know if he's trying to stay away from the warlock thing because of, he's afraid. Because Taliesin has repeatedly said, Caduceus has repeatedly said, this isn't over. This is still inside you.
I think that's part of it.
Or if it's just Travis, like, I like to fight. I want to be up close.
The thing is, with Ford, he didn't do that, though. Even when they were down a tank, he kind of needed to be doing that.
Right.
He didn't do that.
Right. But he also wasn't a paladin
then. Yeah. So we'll see. It'll probably be a week or two before he's on Talks, and I don't know if anyone will pose the question.
Right. Yeah, that far out.
But that's my question for Travis: is why Ford ran in instead of staying at range and pelting it with Eldritch Blast, because he does as much or more with Eldritch Blast than he does with the Falchion or with the Summer's Dance.
Yeah. He will Star Razor.
Star Razor, yes.
Summer's Dance is long gone.
Yeah.
Although, if he ever used his frickin' smite, so even when the couple of times I've played a paladin, which I do need to play one again just to give it a chance because I haven't, it is just the class I'm least drawn to. I don't typically use smites. I prefer, unless it's something very, very serious, I tend to use spells, be a spellcaster.
Yeah.
More of a holy eldritch knight than a smiting paladin.
Okay.
When I play them.
Yeah.
So I can't really fault him, but he's never done anything with his smites. And you'd think that he'd at least try it out. Especially having 5th level smites right off the bat.
And I think it's because they hadn't had a rest. And he didn't know how long it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And he was able to ascertain that these things would die in 3 hits, maybe.
Yeah.
So why use the resource? And that helped them out because it gave him a slot for major image.
Yeah. The counter to that is that if I kill it in 3 hits, it gets at least 2 attacks on us. If I kill it in 1, it gets 0 attacks on us.
Yeah, but the danger of those things was in their death throws.
Yeah.
They were doing...
Which goes back to the Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one where everyone should have been fighting at a distance, except for Bo.
Yeah. But Matt was smart, and
Caduceus was the only one that figured it out. And he even said it. I'm going to move over here because I just realized this clustering thing is not a good idea. And everyone else just stayed back together.
Yeah. But also, the first moment for Laura, for my MVP pick, Incite Greed.
Yes.
To bring them all in. Dimension door away. Caduceus destroys undead.
Yes.
And kudos to Matt for giving us our first description of that we see in the opening.
Yeah.
In the opening credits.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
That was a very good play on Laura and Talison's part, and they had that plan.
Yeah. But they make the dome, and Travis is like, "Look, it's better to chance the 10 minutes here, because this is ground that we have. We know we have it, versus going out there and maybe we don't find ground.
Yeah.
Maybe, So they set the dome. They start talking about what is with this swamp.
Mm-hmm. Well, they talk about that. They finally get Laura to tell them what happened.
Yes.
And each other what happened, and they judge each other's sacrifices.
Yeah, and Travis is prodding, both at the very beginning of the episode and once the dome is up, is one of the reasons why I have him picked as my second.
It's one of the reasons I have him as well.
Because while Laura seemed to get a little testy about it, I think the reason he was doing it was to give her an opportunity to brag.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone at the table thought that was freaking amazing. And I think they all realized none of them knew what happened.
Yeah.
And
I even mentioned that on Talks last week. Well, right. We actually don't know.
Right. And I think Travis just wanted the characters to have a little bit of that moment.
Yeah. And the only thing is, and the reason why I think that Laura was so hesitant is when you're a trickster, you don't want to give away all your secrets.
Yeah.
You want to keep that, I just took care of it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they know, they can implicate her. And that's no bueno. So, but we were told Bo rolls 25 on her history check, or 26, and we're told that when the Duelist Dominion ruled here, so before the Empire, there was a cult in this around Mount Mentiri that worshipped an entity that they called the Twilight Phoenix.
Yep.
And Travis is like the one we saw in Ukatoa's temple. And he said he reiterates what happened.
Right.
He says, if I'm remembering that correct, and Matt says, you are. And he gives a look at the camera. And then Matt's like, Mr. Stone. But Travis, this is the importance of combat for a player, especially for a player like Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Those seeds of exposition were sandwiched in combat.
Yeah.
Now, you can argue it's his story, so of course he's going to remember it better. But I don't think that's necessarily fair. I think it's more indicative of he learned these things between combats.
Yeah.
And in trying to kill Avantika, and like everything that came out as exposition in Travis's story was bookended by combats. Whereas we haven't had that for quite a while. The last bit of that we had, and arguably not even very much exposition, was when the Laughing Hand was released.
Yeah.
So, yeah, trauma fixes memories in the brain more firmly.
Yeah.
But they point out Pride's Call is nearby.
Yes. Which makes sense because it's, ruins from the dwarves, and Comorta is an old dwarven city, and yeah.
Yep. And once again, we have a connection between the beacons and potentially evil entities in their vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Matt tried to downplay their connection and tried to say, well, there are many phoenixes. This is just this one.
Yeah.
And I think he did that because he didn't want to get them sidetracked, I think. Where if they had decided to go chase down a temple or find something, that could have been, who knows how long.
Yeah.
Or they would have gone, half done it, and had to leave. And it's unsatisfying, I think. So he didn't want to. He tried to downplay what he was giving them. And if we have time at the end, when I talk about the first episode, this is important for that.
Okay.
But the important thing also, when Jester tells what happens, I don't think that's going to match the Hag's version of things. So if they ever do come up and they start talking about it, if they ask any specific questions from Jester's story, it might cause cracks to break in the story. But one of the things that she said does lead some. If Matt listens, no, I shouldn't say if Matt is listening because Matt listens. Jester basically implied I'm a potential coven mate.
Yeah.
She didn't say that, but the subtext of everything she said was she sees herself in me, I think was one of the lines that she said.
Yeah, I think she just sees some of herself in me.
Yeah. I'm like, oh. Coven sister. Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
And well, we talked about that last week.
Yeah. But the big thing in the hut was Caduceus stumbling on to the actual price that Lionette is paying.
Yes.
And Jester articulating it beautifully. And part of me thinks that the smile he was giving her is the smile, like, for me in that moment, Matt was in character as the hag.
Yeah.
Seeing Jester articulate the suffering that she was feeding from. And it was just, I was just like, yes. But I have to give kudos to Taliesin because he's the one that actually figured it out. Yep. But yeah, that's so good.
He's good at figuring it out and saying just enough for someone else to put it together.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of Taliesin's thing.
I think he does that on purpose.
I do
as
too.
well.
I agree 100%.
Because I think what he has decided with Caduceus is I can't be the one to solve it, but I can ask the right questions.
Right.
Which is the tack that I took with my low intelligence, high wisdom Minotaur.
Yeah.
Well,
and I mean, he does it more with Caduceus, but I think that's a Taliesin thing. Because there were even times when Percy would make observations, and then someone else would put it together. You know, I think that's where Taliesin really enjoys the cooperative storytelling, is helping other people figure out what Matt is doing.
I buy that. But we also get another instance of Caleb saying, you can't turn back time.
Yeah. What's done is done. You can't.
And I'm like, well, for me, that line, in the context that it was given, is basically Caleb acknowledging maybe he can't do what he wants, but I think it's more, if I do what I want, I have to do it in such a way that past me doesn't know that I did it.
Yeah.
I have to preserve the
timeline,
what has happened, because so much of what has happened, especially recently, and him seeing how all of them coming together has affected things, and it's sort of, can he pull that thread and risk all of what has happened since come undone?
Yeah, because I think I think that he's at a point where he's got to choose between his old family and his new family. If I go back and save my old family, it unravels what's happened, and I'm not with my new family.
Yeah. But they're confronting Bo.
Yes.
And Caleb says to Bo, follow your own advice. Which goes back to when he traded information about his past for access to the Cobalt Reserve. Mm-hmm. And admitted that he was thinking about leaving. And what she said to him then.
Yeah.
And I loved, this is another reason why Travis has a vote for MVP for me, is he's the one that really drove that home to Bo.
Yep.
And he's like, he's pointing out how all of them each care for each other individually. And he's like, not probably didn't care about me.
But I care about her.
Yeah. And she says, well, I care about you for. He says, what? Say that again?
Didn't quite hear that. What?
Tell me again.
And she rolls her eyes like the annoyed sister.
Yeah. And Caleb says, nobody goes. And then they get into the discussion of absent parents. And Ashley has the best campaign 1, campaign 2 wall break so far with, what was your mother's name?
Ashley.
And Travis, her father. I love Matt. Everyone writing that down? Okay. But not discusses the problem that she's having and her wanting to leave. And then the consensus is, well, you don't have to stay. So in the space of 12 or 15 minutes, they went from, how dare you think about leaving? No one leaves. To, okay, yeah, no, you can probably leave.
Well, and I think there's a difference in that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there definitely is. Bo's leaving because she's doing it for self-destructive reasons.
Yes.
Not as a family.
Exactly.
And they can't ask her to abandon her family.
Right.
There was talk of kidnapping TJ, which
yes.
I thought was hilarious. It's like, yeah, that's not going to help goblins, or tieflings' image at all.
Right? Well, that's why you send the half-orc in.
I let these monsters into my home and they took my son. Yeah, bad idea. And Yasha's like, look, this is no place for a child.
Yeah.
Our lifestyle is not conducive.
Which, yeah. When they were first talking about it, I thought they were talking about kidnapping him and leaving him with Luke and Yeza.
Yeah. Well, that's what not proposed.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, the deed would be done, and the child would be with them until they could deposit it in Nicodranas.
Yeah, but that's just a teleportation circle away.
Yeah, it's true. And I love the way that Sam put it. I'm not brave enough to do either.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a conversation with Yeza for her to be okay to go.
Yeah. Well, and they even called her out that, because she's like, well, I'm with you now because I can't go home like this. And they're like, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
We already know Yeza would accept you.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, she wouldn't accept herself.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be an interesting moment when that happens. And I think behind the scenes, Sam may be talking to Matt about the potential of another character.
A reject from the Darrington Brigade.
Yeah, maybe. He played
Tyrion.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I wasn't thinking anyone from the one shot. I was thinking one of the people that left the Darrington Brigade before the one shot. Why they were completely absent.
One of the greedy ones that found out once they found out this was for charity was like, nope.
Yeah.
They would fit into the Mighty Nine.
Although, if he takes one of the characters from the one shot, I really want him to get Tellus's permission to be the Owlbear.
Owlbear Man. Yeah. Let's see. The meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Funny moment. And I haven't gone looking through the fan art submissions. I kind of want to wait until Thursday. But someone has to have drawn that.
Yeah.
The dome and all the zombies closing in on it.
Meanwhile, everybody's sitting in a circle.
Yeah.
The best part was just clear your mind. But I have so many. Damn it, Caleb!
Which had me thinking, how would you roll that out? And I was thinking,
Wits composure.
A wisdom check versus an intelligence check. A wisdom check versus a charisma check. And if you succeed on both, then you've successfully meditated. Whatever that means for that character or that moment. But because it's a matter of, can you quiet your thoughts? That's the intelligence. And can you push out your ego, which is the charisma?
Well, I would make that just 2 wisdom checks with the DCs being your intelligence and your charisma scores.
That works too. Yeah. And we have a last minute bit before sleep. The only 2 without exhaustion. Where Jester says to Caleb, look, I wouldn't use it on you.
Yeah.
Or anyone in the group. And Caleb telling her, you kind of did, it's a tool, it's how you use it. And you gave her a happy memory.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the genuine concern of Jester for Caleb and how he felt with what she did, and his response to, how you used it, was probably the moment that gave me the most hope for Widow Jest.
And that was the moment that I closed the book on it. Not that Caleb doesn't love her, and not that she necessarily loves him.
Right.
But we've talked before about Liam being in character, and that of all of them, he breaks out the least.
Right.
And after she says that and sort of settles down, he was staring at her with a heartbroken look on his face for a good 90 seconds at least.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. It will never happen. Something extraordinary would have to happen. But I think Yasha called it right, implying Jester being the one that he's in love with.
Yeah.
And I think in that moment, Caleb realized it, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment with Jester, because he said it to Yasha, it's already too late. And in that moment with Jester, when she said that, I think that was him. Nope. So, as much as that is my ship on the show,
Right.
For me, that moment was sort of the door closing.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Ashley, same thought as us, articulating what happened to the horses.
Yep.
Because they mentioned, yeah, they look like more bound. She's like, what if they just got to the village and they got freaked out and killed them? And Marisha's like, oh, that happened. She's laughing so hard. She's like, oh, that definitely happened.
Yeah. It's exactly what you said on the last episode last week. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think Caleb was shopping for? Because he went shopping for a magic scroll.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think he was shopping for materials to make one? But that's not the impression I got. I thought he was looking for...
He was looking for a scroll. And I'm not sure what it was. It may have been any dunamancy, because he's looking into that. But I know that he, from the beginning of the game, has had a list of spells that he wants to acquire.
Yeah.
Ones that he's going to get his level up, and ones he wants to acquire through game.
Yeah. And it's been a while since Matt's given him one.
Yeah. And he very well, and I don't know what that is on his list. I would love to see his list. Yeah. Maybe after the campaign's over, he'll tweet out, his list of what he had from the beginning, of what he wanted.
Yeah.
So we can see that progression, that look into Liam's mind, preparing a wizard.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
But that leads us to my second major moment for MVP for Laura.
Okay.
She cast Word of Recall. I don't know how long she's been looking at that spell, but the adventure in the swamp definitely prompted it.
Yeah.
And more than Caleb's, casting teleportation circle to bring him to Jorhas wherever, Word of Recall, it's an action, takes everyone back to where she cast it. And so that's their parachute. That's their get out of jail, let's get out of here card. So for me, that was the biggest, smallest moment.
See, and for me, I was like, that's going to win Laura MVP when she triggers it, whatever episode she triggers it, because that's setting up the clutch move. If she never triggers it because it never is needed, it was a wasted slot.
Yeah, maybe. But we got one of the funniest moments of the episode also, with Yasha giving Sprinkle a bath.
Yes.
And every time they joke that the weasel is dead, I laugh. And
it's just a stole now.
Yeah. So Matt narrated that the weasel was biting Yasha. And
that she took half damage.
Well, here's the thing. He didn't roll damage, and she didn't say she was raging. And when it was implied that she had raged, and then he made her roll the animal handling after that, and then the joke came that she broke Sprinkle in half, and she was like, no. I think I would have just said, make an animal handling check. Okay. And I roll a die. And I was thinking like a D4 to a D8.
Okay.
And say you take that much damage. Assuming that the weasel does 1 point of damage every time it actually manages to bite. And she's going to be in a position to be bitten. So, I don't know.
See, I was thinking, set something like DC 15 animal handling. Every point you're below the 15 is 1 point of damage that one time the weasel bit you.
That works too.
If you succeed, you got away without getting bitten. If you roll 14, it bit you once, you take 1 point of damage.
And she rolled up 4?
So that would have been 11 points of damage.
Yeah.
It bit the fuck out of you. You're missing a thumbnail. I don't know.
Holes all over her hands. Yeah.
Maybe a 10. I don't know. What it would be.
Yeah. Knot goes to find a potential housekeeper. Comes back
with vendetta.
Yeah. Vidala. Who is asking for 8 times her normal daily rate.
Yeah. Yeah, you noticed that too.
Yeah. Well, I was like, that's excessive. And then I actually did the math when preparing for the show tonight. And I converted the gold to all silver. From 4 silver to 24 silver, that's 8.
Yep.
Yeah. So, crazy.
And not, it's like, sure.
Yeah. We'll split it. No, we won't. I love that moment too. Nope, this is your expense.
Yep.
I also love, well, we had one, and she disappeared. And Bo, she's a monk of the Cobalt Soul.
She's an expositor, yeah. I don't know anything about that. I'd go take a bath.
So good. But to the menagerie. With Essek.
Yes.
Who reiterates for them the danger of teleporting.
Wait, you mean you don't know where we're going?
Yeah, that's impossible. No, we know. It's this place that none of us have ever been. We've all only heard of.
I saw it in a vision once, kind of.
Now, Caduceus tried divine intervention.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't succeed. If it had succeeded, how would you have done that?
I don't know.
Because for me,
I'm not good with divine intervention because I've never had someone use it when I have DM'd. So I've never had to worry about it.
Right. For me, what would have happened if that had succeeded? The Wild Mother would have put intimate knowledge of that place into Essek's head.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking like...
And then it would have changed the chart from description only to I've been there for the mishap chance. Which he rolled a 99 on. So no mishap.
Yes.
And he was pleased because he did not want to teleport to the Oasis.
Mm-hmm.
For Caduceus, there has to be a journey.
Yeah.
They have to endure the environment to get there. And I did love that. What, you just trying to delay for 3 weeks? I don't know. That's a yes.
Well, what's interesting to me in that is right before that he's like, no, a boat trip would be nice. Considering last time he was on a boat trip, having been nearly drowned beforehand and during in his freak out,
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, let's go sailing. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. And Matt RPing the drow sunlight sensitivity with Essek.
Yep.
Prompting Jester to paint a parasol for him.
Mm-hmm.
which got us he's Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yes. Quick question though with Vidala Vendetta. Two things. One, what do you think the whisper to Not was? And two, do you think Bo is right?
I think Bo was wrong.
Okay.
I think the whisper was him telling Sam that she seems like a desperate young girl who's unhappy in the place that she is and is excited by the potential opportunity. Because, I mean, who wouldn't be excited at the potential opportunity to stop shoveling horse and moorbounder manure?
So,
do I think she's trustworthy? That's a different question.
Okay.
See, Bo thinks she's going to steal from him. She's not going to steal from him. No. I think she may parlay it into political advantage.
Yeah, I was going to say Bo's right in the sense she shouldn't be trusted with this. I think that because he insight checked her on her saying, I don't know, can you trust me? I mean, to an extent, yes, you can trust her. You're offering her 8 times what she should be making for the job you're asking her to do.
Yeah.
But anyone who's going to swindle you out of that is probably going to swindle you at the first chance that is a beneficial option for them.
See, in my head, I think she insight checked Not and realized Not's new money.
Fair enough.
And I'm going to get some of that. Because new money tends to overspend.
Again, anyone who's going to take advantage of that is also going to rip you off given the opportunity once it's beneficial.
They are definitely fair weather employee, for sure. But, I mean, we'll see when they skip a payment. Because they sort of left without paying her anything.
Yeah.
But they would be foolish to pay her in advance. So we'll see. Ford takes the worst position for an apprentice to take behind his master.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming Ford is right hand. Because if he is behind him to the right, when he draws his weapon, he's drawing through his master. So it would be other side. Not that Ford has to draw a weapon, but that's where my mind went in that moment. But that plays into your supposition that the reason he charged in is playing up the paladin side.
Mm-hmm.
That's really where he's trying to be.
Yeah.
2 great moments from the skill check. Ford's intimidation. And I thought, this is the case where Matt is meaner than me.
Yeah.
Because I've let barbarians do that. Because barbarians get so few skills. Intimidation's a common one that they take. And when you're cross-country traveling, survival and intimidate. And usually someone has a better survival check than the barbarian. So they're not the go-to for that.
Typically someone has a better intimidate too, because charisma isn't high on the barbarian's stat priority.
Yeah, but I also let them use strength on it,
Yeah.
So, but still, the 21, and it arguably didn't work.
No, it was a failure.
Yeah. I thought that was a little sad, especially when Yasha's 19 on survival was a success.
Well, I think the DC is based on the actual usefulness of the skill in the situation.
Well, yes, Matt has said that, but I would like to know the base
out
DC.
at the jungle.
Yes, and
that's not going to really. That's not necessarily going to be intimidating to a predator, animal, or plant. That's just going to signify that something is there.
Well, a plant for sure, which is why I think Matt split the difference.
Yeah.
He gave him every living animal runs away, but that does nothing for the plants.
Yeah.
So one swallows you. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, like for me, I would have put a really, really high DC on that because I don't think intimidation, deception, persuasion are trekking through the wilderness skills.
Intimidation
has the biggest argument for it.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be a higher DC than perception or stealth or survival or, anything like even history, I know the history of the land. I know, things around.
Yeah.
Is to me a more cohesive, more related skill option than I intimidate the nature.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the animal thing, but also you have the fact that the way he did it, again, could arguably alert the presence of.
I will say it stank of grog.
Yes, it very much did.
Especially on my rewatch, I was like, that is grog.
Yeah.
That's...
The accent even slipped a little towards grog.
His tone of voice. It was, I'll tell you, I will pinpoint the exact grog moment it was most reminiscent of.
Okay.
Grog coming out of the privy after talking
to the sword.
Yep.
Exactly where. Yep.
Yeah. And then the second big moment in the skill challenge was Bo successfully rules lawyering her trek up a tree, which, by the way, Matt's trees are short.
Yeah.
When he's like about 30 feet, I was like, it's a jungle? Add a 0 to that. But, Matt's the DM. Tallest tree in the area is 30 feet. Cool. And Bo's like, well, can't I just wall run up it? Oh, yeah. Sure. And Jester smacks her in the ass. And Bo's like, she thinks it's the Traveler, but nope.
I just got excited because you smacked my ass.
Yeah.
And going with that, the moment when they were interviewing Vidala and Jester cast Zone of Truth.
Oh, yes, Zone of Truth. I completely forgot about that. It's right there.
What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? I don't have one. How do you see the world? Not having a favorite color doesn't mean you don't see the color. And then, does anyone have a crush on me? And the look on Marisha's face, and she just played that so smooth. Oh, come on, everyone does. Now back to you.
And the one who had to tell the truth didn't say anything. Which was also funny.
Yeah.
And also the second time Jester has used Zone of Truth and asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see if it happens again.
It needs to. And she needs to pinpoint every single person individually. Especially the 3 on the top of the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for sure. But the biggest moment of the episode, enter Artagan.
Yes. Oh, so good.
So good. Just everything about that. Travis freaking out that she left without telling anyone. And
as soon... Okay, so I know I've been on this, and I've said it was him forever.
Yeah, like episode... I mean, we were definitely on the Artagan train by episode 10.
Yeah, easily. I think maybe one or two people pitched it on the internet before me, but it was like that same week, that I came up with it. They came up with, it's just kind of all that starting.
Yeah.
Became a fan favorite. Became so popular of a theory that a lot of people on the internet were saying, it's too good to be true. It can't be true. There's too much. Matt's setting that up.
It's a red herring.
It's a red herring. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as soon as he's walking and the flowers are going, I'm like, yes, this is it. This is it. Right there.
Yeah, and as soon as he took the hood off and started describing him, and Marisha starts losing her shit.
Yeah, Marisha. And Travis is like, wait, what?
And Laura, same page.
Yeah.
But Laura's keeping it
in character.
Yeah. And then you see Marisha start whispering to Travis. And he's like,
and
no.
Liam on the other side of her just shaking his head like, this motherfucker choked me out last campaign.
And Laura's devilish excitement.
Yes.
At the prospect of what this will mean.
And I was right there. My reaction was right between Marisha and Talos, and that whole time I'm just like, yes.
And then that's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's where we're gonna end this.
I need your help. I have no idea what I'm doing. And then Liam with the Traveler Con's just gonna be strangling 500 people.
I'm telling you, in that moment, I was like, Kuatoa, it's gotta be like. So, in that vein, my brain wanting Kuatoa so much, I went directly to, he's going to have them raid Kuatoa village, and use the Kuatoa's faith to birth their gods, and they expect a slaughter. So he's going to have the Traveler Con people go in and slaughter these Kuatoa as part of and take their faith into himself. That's arguably as dark as choking out Vax.
Easily.
But yeah.
And it's all Jester's fault.
No, it's Percy and Vex. And,
okay, yeah.
And it's their
Talks
fault.
Machinas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were saying that, and I said that because they made the comment. He made the comment. You had so much faith in me. It gave me this extra power. I started looking for others to have that faith in me.
That's true. Also, he's trapped.
Yep.
Whatever door they opened is closed now. At least that's what I understood from his talking about. Being his gate was closed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I expect this episode will be
well, we'll get to the Oasis.
Yeah. And I don't know. There will be some kind of combat, I think. The last one, there wasn't. There was the potential for it, but they managed to not fight the ghosts.
Yeah. I'm thinking Commodon or something like that. Some kind of jungle beast. I used them in one game. The leopards with the snakes. Yeah. They fought them before.
Yeah.
When they were searching for the temples. will be a potential. Any jungle dwelling creature.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Caduceus getting the next step also.
Yeah.
Because so far he doesn't have that.
And a reunion with at least one of his family members.
Who might be dead.
Maybe.
That's what I'm thinking, is they're dead.
Yes. Well,
but we'll see on Thursday.
We're at the time to go watch Laura and Sam.
Yep. And we will see you guys next week, I guess.